What is going on, everybody? We have an official announcement. Dana White came out on Twitter. We're going to talk about that. My throwback Seahawks jersey here, the Beast Mode. You guys remember a game called football? Back when people used to be able to congregate in more than 10 and throw the old pigskin around. What's up, Snake Pillskin? Tony fight his BS, and Tony worked Connor without a doubt, dude. So glad. What's up, Torin Brown? Joe Real. Funny thing is, Connor will school both of them. So I see a lot of Connor comments. And my take on that is I think Connor is the biggest winner in this whole thing. For those of you that didn't see, Dana White announced just about 45 minutes ago UFC 249 is on. He said it is 100% on. The main event is still a championship bout, but it will be an interim lightweight championship fight, between Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. I knew this fight was coming on, or I was told that this fight was finalized this morning, and I can give you guys a little bit more detail. It looks like I think I'm free to give more detail on what it looks like they're doing with the location, and we'll go over that. I hear 85 for paper. What? The fight is happening, but not the right fight. So UFC 249 is happening. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus, I can't get that out of my head. It just doesn't sound right. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for the UFC interim title. I really like both of these guys. I think Tony gets completely screwed in this. He's going against a guy that could definitely beat him. Justin Gaethje is a nightmare matchup for anyone. I think he could beat Tony. I think he could beat Khabib. I think he could beat anybody in the division on any given night. I think he's an absolute nightmare matchup. Honest thoughts about Khabib, Mike. I think this time he didn't want Tony's smoke. Agreed, he looked rattled just at the face-off. So Khabib, I don't know if you guys noticed, or if you guys seen a few nights ago, he did a 25-minute interview on ESPN where he talked about he flew over to Abu Dhabi because the UFC had told him this is where we're looking to have this fight. It's 100% not going to happen in the United States. So he's over in Abu Dhabi, and they're telling him that people can't get in. We've been over this story. People aren't going to be able to get in. If he doesn't leave soon, he's not going to be able to get out. So he goes over to Russia, and people ask him, and I asked at first, I said, why did you go to Russia? Because Russia went on lockdown immediately right after he got there. Well, he said, why would I go back to the United States if Dana White had told me it was 100% not going to happen in the United States? So this makes it a little confusing for me why this is for an interim championship, but not in a way because Tony Ferguson never lost his interim championship. So I would just sell this as he's defending his interim championship. He never lost it. How financially stable do you think Tony is? Is he rich? He is not. He is not. He needs money. He needs to work. He needs to fight. He hasn't got the big paydays a lot of these guys haven't. He's not been despite having a really long streak. He's not been super active the last 2 years. 249 is happening. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje is the main event. Now, I've heard all kinds of names thrown out there from some sources I've talked to today that Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik could end up making it on the card. It looks like Jessica Andrade versus Roz Namajunas is still on tentatively. And now Dana said in his tweet, somewhere on Earth. I will tell you from information I had this morning. Dana White was speaking with the Las Vegas Nevada Sports Commission this morning. So I would not be surprised if there is not an announcement before the end of the day. In fact, I expect another announcement before the end of the day that this thing is going to be in Las Vegas at the Apex Center. If it's not, they're saying they are definitely targeting somewhere on the West Coast. So California shut down. California has said they will not have any MMA events, I believe, until June. In any combat sports, they just shut the entire commission down. They're all gone. Then you got Las Vegas. I don't really even consider Las Vegas West Coast. I mean, I guess they are. They're not technically on the coast, though. They're not on the water. They had already had a UFC scheduled April 11th in Portland, which I had tickets to go to. And then you have the new stadium that they could christen over in Seattle for the new hockey team. The new stadium that was just built. PBR Street Gang, cursed fight 5 times this fight was made. I am so upset. I am disappointed too, sir. Thank you for your generosity. Much appreciated. Much appreciated in these tough times, sir. We're getting a fight though. And like I had mentioned before, I think Connor's kind of the big winner on this one, because he had said he planned on fighting Justin Gaethje here soon. He has, seemingly ducked fights with Tony Ferguson several times. Definitely has seemed to not want anything to do with Tony Ferguson. So he ducks the 2 top guys in the division outside of Khabib. And as far as that, I don't think anybody else in the division beats Conor. I think he dodged a lot of bullets here. You take Gaethje, Ferguson, and Khabib out there, I think Conor beats everyone else. Put him up against Gaethje or Ferguson. Obviously, you have a lot more. It's a lot more of a crapshoot. A lot more talented fighters. And then, Khabib, as Khabib already said, he says, I've already whooped his ass once. You want me to do it again? I don't know. So in this just breaking, an hour ago, ESPN has released an interview with Daniel Cormier and Khabib Nurmagomedov. It looks like Khabib Nurmagomedov is not afraid of anyone. It's titled, of course, Daniel Cormier, one of the main sparring partners of Khabib Nurmagomedov. And the late applause. Thank you again for the donation to PBR Street Gang. Now, Tyron Woodley came out quickly and he said, I'm training, I'm ready, I'm at weight, and I'm ready to whoop anyone's ass and everyone's ass. I mean, he came out on fire. I think they're just going to stack this card from front to back, guys. They have to. Because they don't know when this is going to happen again. Now, I will tell you guys something else that I know. Not only are they looking at the Apex Center, I think that I can tell you guys almost 100% that they have the Apex Center set. And here's something else I'm going to tell you. They are planning 2 more UFCs there. The UFC, I believe, that was scheduled for April 28th. and then UFC 250 they are planning to have at the Apex Center. They're ready to get going, ready to get fights back on. And I'll tell you, what a difference a day makes. I don't know if it's because the sun shines out or whatever, but I'm starting to feel more optimistic that we start to open things up in May. So I don't know if they do quarantining correctly and different things. I can see some more sports coming back in May. I can see businesses starting to reopen. We don't really even know. Of course, this Khabib Ferguson virus. We don't even know if everybody has to catch it. Maybe you have to catch it. I was sick quite a bit before I was tested for it and got well. I think there's a good chance that I had it. Maybe some of you guys had it if you were sick and just couldn't get the test at the time. Because I was really sick. I missed about a week of work. But I was really feeling crappy for about a month. And then I was having issues with my asthma and different things. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that I probably had it. So I believe you're immune now. That's the thing. So for all those single guys out there, maybe I can't say. Never mind. I can't go there. I won't tell you to encourage you to go out there and get it. But if you've had it, and you've gotten rid of it, and they're saying you're not going to get it again, I mean, maybe that makes you pretty popular with the ladies. I don't know. Soon you'll be able to get tested for antibodies. Do I get money? See the G, do I get money for this? No, I just want to help people. I'm just kidding. But Woodley is back and ready to kill. Yeah, he's been hanging out in Thailand. He's been training with the baddest mothers on earth. And he looks good. He looks in shape. And I'm not sure if his opponent is going to be in shape. And I will tell you that it is almost certainly his opponent is going to be Colby Covington. I can say that with almost 100% certainty. I did have on and off fever. Yeah, I'd be burning up and then I wouldn't have a fever. And then you have a fever. Sore throat was the real bad part of it. The cough, the earache, and then yeah, it was not very fun. I think I got it from another guy that I work with. He was sick for about a month. And he was laughing when he got me sick. He's like, ha ha, you got my cold. Now I'm telling him, dude, I think you freaking gave me coronavirus. Oh, I mean the Khabib Tony virus. Apparently we're not allowed to say what's on everyone's mind. Me, on and off, fever and cough. Ooh, that's what's going on with... You might want to get checked out, JJ Smith. Most people are probably going to be okay as long as you take care of yourself. If you're asthmatic like me, you're a little higher risk category. But there's been some people that are super healthy that have gotten this Khabib Tony virus and have become real ill and even passed away. That's horrible. Will Covington accept the fight with Woodley? I believe it sounds like he has already accepted it. That's not official. They haven't officially announced that, so I can't officially say that, but unofficially, I can tell you about 99% that deal is done. I mean, this is so crazy that we're only 12 days away. We're 12 days away from these fights. So yesterday, Ariel Helwani tweeted out, Khabib Nurmagomedov is getting clearance from Vladimir Putin. He's on his way to the States. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And Dana White immediately tweeted out after, that is not true. UFC 249 is still on, but Khabib will not be there. And he said, will have an announcement tomorrow. And now today is tomorrow. So, he came out with the announcement, of course. And there we go. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Covington is in. Said my fever doesn't go over 102. Just stay home. The doctors were... I had to push them to test me. They were definitely willing to take the money to do an x-ray of my lungs because I'm asthmatic. And then they're like, oh, did you want to get tested? Why did you want to get tested? Well, I've been sick for a freaking month. My lungs are on fire. I've been coughing, feverish, all this stuff. Why do you think I want to get tested? It's like they have such a limited amount of these tests, and they don't want to let anybody know. I know doctors and nurses over here in the Seattle, Washington area that have said that they're going to get fired. That they'll get fired if they tell people that they're low on supplies and they're low on tests. Then they're also telling people they're supposed to not tell them that they have tests available in some of these places until they determine that they're sick enough to be tested. Oh, that sucks, JJ Smith. Been home since Tuesday. I hope you're getting paid. Because they told you to stay home. You're not able to go. Tony can make history by becoming the first ever two-time interim champ. That is true, tell of the tape. I don't know if that's the kind of history you want to make. But that is very interesting. How does this pay-per-view sell? They kind of need a location to promote it. I'm assuming we're going to start seeing some advertisements from ESPN. But, I guess it doesn't matter as much because we're probably most likely not going to have a crowd. I don't see how they could have a crowd in there. It's going to be, the necessary officials, the cut man, the corner man, and the fighters. Don't know if I could go back to work or not because I'm scared. Because they tell me I don't have a sore throat, but I have a fever between 100 to 101.5 and cough. I would push them. I would push them to test you, JJ Smith. I would put a lot of pressure on your doctor. They should make it free. I think they should too, JJ Smith, but it doesn't look like that's the case. I will throw a bone to the UFC and Dana. One, for getting this done. Dana, when nobody thought it should be done. Whether it should be happening or not, that's, I guess, beside the point. But all the UFC London fighters, the UFC went and took care of them. So they paid them. They didn't pay them their win bonuses, but I guess they paid them their show bonus plus a little extra because they had to go over there to London. So everybody got a little extra on top of their show bonus, and they didn't have to fight. So kudos to the UFC for that. Also, shout out to Scott Coker over there in Bellator. Their card that they had to cancel recently. They canceled it the day before. Or the day of, I believe, because they had the weigh-in the day before. They paid all those fighters their show and their win money. So, big credit to them. I see Dustin saying he'll beat up Tony Ferguson. Boy, if you don't sit down and shut up, Tony would destroy you, bro. Yeah, I don't see Dustin Poirier matching up well with Tony. Really confused why people think Khabib is the best. He hasn't beat the level of people as Tony. They have the same win streak in UFC, right? I think Tony dismantles him, cuts him up badly. You're not the only one. There's quite a few people that think that. I mean, that undefeated record, really that really gets a lot of people 28-0, but you're right. The same win streak in the UFC for both of them. Tony has had the tougher opponents. Khabib has definitely fought a lot of tough guys at this point. Now, too, though, not just Michael Johnson anymore. Dismantled Edson Barbosa. Beat Dustin Poirier pretty easily. Beat guys who Tony lost to. Chatri canceled all the ONE FC fights this month. I seen that. And Bellator is out until I think it's the end of next month, the end of May. So they have that Chandler versus Bendo 2. Michael Chandler versus Benson Henderson 2. Hopefully popping off in May. Not saying Khabib was bad by any stretch, but he hasn't faced anyone with a proper style matchup. I think Conor should have been his toughest matchup. And I do believe that Conor trained 100% for that. I don't believe what Conor was saying. I mean, I don't know what state he was in mentally. But I do believe he took the fight seriously. I do believe that he was in training camp, training hard. I believe he took Khabib very seriously. I think he felt like it was going to be the toughest fight of his life, which of course it was. Rose versus Andrade 2 looks like it's still a go. I worry about Rose a little bit. And this is just speculation on my part. But her high anxiety, the PTSD she claims she kind of had after the bus incident, and some different things with Rose. I'm not sure Rose is going to want to fight under these conditions. This is a girl that, says she doesn't want to fight. She's even talked about retiring. Was rumored she was offered a shot at the title, and said she wasn't ready to fight for the title again yet. And she also talked about some of the good things about not being champion, about how it was a relief to not have that pressure of being the champion on her. So whether she shows up for this one or not, my gut says she will, but they're gonna definitely really have to have as close to foolproof safety precautions as they can there. I know they're taking everybody's temperature at the door, testing everybody before they're able to go in there and fight. That is a rumor. That is not confirmed, Caleb Wallace, but that's a rumor that I heard from my source in Vegas, who also told me that Dana White is meeting with the Las Vegas and the Athletic Commission today, which it appears that he is. I had heard Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a fight that Dana would like to put on there. It has not been confirmed, though. Tyron Woodley has been all but confirmed. And Dana, it looks like, has promised him a shot on the card. He says, I'm training. I'm at weight. You can't deny the guy the fight. It looks like I can say almost 100%, I think, that it's going to be Colby Covington. So, still turning out to be what looks like a great card. Dana White, that's true. That's true, Torrin. You do have that, but maybe he wants to see him get beat. I'm not sure he's so high on Colby these days either. He used to be really big on Colby, but not so sure anymore. Can't wait to see Rose again. She gets her head on straight. She's a straight savage. Well, yeah, we seen what Joanna just did to the champion, Weili Zhang. I thought she actually won that fight. If anything, it's definitely, in my book, leading candidate for Fight of the Year. She's an absolute savage, and Rose beat her not just once, but twice. Knocked her out the first time, and then won, 3 rounds on my scorecards, but I think a lot of people had her winning 4 rounds in the rematch against Joanna. So Conor doesn't have the wrestling instinct to ever beat Khabib, in my opinion. It's not in his blood. You know, he didn't train wrestling when he was young. And there's this philosophy. It's definitely among strikers and boxers that if you start in your mid-20s, past your mid-20s basically, you're never going to catch up. And you're definitely not going to catch up with a guy like Floyd Mayweather that's had that muscle memory, since he was a little boy, 8 years old or younger. Same thing with Mike Tyson, a lot of these other guys, and a lot of these other strikers. They get that muscle memory. And same thing with wrestling. And I think they get that muscle memory to a point to where when you see a really big guy that shouldn't be able to do a backflip, well, a lot of times that's because he trained his body to do that when he wasn't holding that much weight. So there's that muscle memory that helps him get through it. And as far as like Conor becoming like a world-class wrestler, he can improve. He can improve. I think he actually was improved in that first fight against Khabib. I think he'll improve more. Can he get his defense to the point to keep it standing enough? I don't know. Dana White thinks Tyron was boring. Didn't have any star power, but he says sees a lot in Usman. That dude is boring also, and he doesn't have star power. Either Dana White is strange. I think one of the big things around Kamaru Usman and Francis is I think he's looking at that big market over in Africa and having him being the first African-born champion. I think he really likes to have the first African-born champion, now the first Chinese, and from all over the globe. And Tyrone Woodley just rubbed Dana the wrong way for quite a while. Tyrone definitely stopped fighting, with Dana. After a while, stopped saying the things that were holding him back, but might have been too late. It's because Tyrone would decline all fights, saying they didn't deserve to fight him. Also whines a lot. I suspect. I have heard that. I haven't heard of him actually declining fights. I know he was injury prone there for a while. I think that's a bit of a misconception. It's like when you're champion, it's like, yeah, you got a little bit of room to swing your balls. But I think if Dana White says you're going to defend against this guy, you're going to defend against this guy. I mean, Stipe Miocic didn't have any say whether he was going to defend against Francis Ngannou. And I'm pretty sure he didn't have any say against Daniel Cormier either. Now, Stipe, isn't in the best favor with the champ or with the owner, Dana White, either. But, they gave him the rematch against Cormier and he got his belt back. So, maybe there's some redemption there for Woodley after all. They both boring, though, at Machadi. I don't think Tyron Woodley is boring. I think he had some tough matchups. You take the fights against Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson's fight against Darren Till when they tried to strike. I mean, snooze fest. Those guys, it was like a sparring session where everybody is just this far away from landing a shot. And they didn't land much. Then you had, he had a tough fight against Damian Maia where he won, but he didn't look exciting. Damian Maia did the same thing to Anderson Silva, who in my mind is the greatest striker of all time. So champions take on all comers. That's why people respect Cerrone, even though he's always fell short of a bit. Yeah, that guy, and on short notice all the time. All the time. I'm surprised he hasn't thrown his name in there. Because that guy's fighting, 5 times a year, 2 weeks notice. He doesn't care. I kind of wish he did care a little bit more, though. I would would like to see him get rested up a little bit more and, take care of his body a little more. Maybe could have been champion, but I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame just because how can you not have the all-time wins and finishes guy in the Hall of Fame? Champions take on all comers. That's why people respect Cerrone. Oh yes. Oh, what's this? What's the sketch? Who's fighting Tony? Tony Ferguson will be fighting Justin Gaethje. So Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson, and it will be for the interim championship. 5 rounds, and then still scheduled for the co-main is Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade 2. It looks like there's a good chance that we'll get Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. Tyron Woodley's volunteered, and at least strong rumors out there that Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik will make it on this card. Looks like it most likely also will be at the Apex Center in Las Vegas, again without a crowd, as will be the UFC that's scheduled for April 28th, and it looks like UFC 250. Dana White shows a lot of favoritism. I remember him basically made Tyron Woodley fight Wonder Boy. But you got Conor McGregor constantly dodging Tony Ferguson. Yep. You don't see Dana making him fight Ferg. He definitely should have, especially when he had the championship. Bloody Justin gonna do him. I think that's a bad matchup for Tony. I'm not saying Tony's gonna lose, but I don't think that's the greatest matchup for him. They're both wild, crazy fighters, and you watch Justin Gaethje's, especially his match against Edson Barbosa, when Barbosa starts to land leg kicks, which I think a lot of us thought Edson Barbosa had the best leg kicks in the lightweight division, and then Gaethje just decides, hey, I'm going to go leg kick with this crazy dude, Edson Barbosa. I'm not going to take him down or box him. I'm going to match leg kicks with him, and just starts destroying his legs. Just tree trunk shots. And Justin Gaethje is definitely one of the scariest dudes in maybe in lightweight history. Conor not scared on Tony? Come on. I don't know how scared he is. He's an opportunist, and he hasn't really denied that. He's not going to take fights that don't get him close to championships. He's not going to take unnecessary risks. If Tony has the belt and they offer him a bunch of money and people are saying he can't beat Tony, then maybe he takes on Tony. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to. When is the Amanda Nunes fight supposed to be? I don't know when Nunes is fighting, but I don't know if you guys seen Shevchenko's out. Shevchenko's out of her fight against, and now I can't think of her name. Somebody help me out here. Number 1 contender. Is it Irene Aldine? Is that in the right weight class? Anyway, Shevchenko is injured. Couldn't come at a better time, really, I guess, with everything kind of up in the air. Conor would take Tony out in 1 round. No, he won't, man. I would love to see that fight. I think that's one of those fights that we have to see. Obviously, Khabib versus Tony is number 1 for me, but I definitely want to see Tony versus Conor as well. Tony is tough and has heart, but he is too sloppy for Conor. Conor would pick him apart. Now, see, like we talk about MMA math, where I think Justin Gaethje is a tough matchup for Tony Ferguson, I'm not sure how tough he would actually be for Conor McGregor because of Conor McGregor's accuracy. Gaethje's a fast starter. He comes out pretty reckless. And Conor, especially in those first couple rounds, he's very sharp. That's when he's got all of his energy. His precision is incredible. No matter what you want to say about the guy, he's a very accurate striker and a very accurate counter striker. And Justin Gaethje gives you a lot of opportunities to counter. No one going to beat the Bullet at 125? No, I don't believe so either. J.J. Smith, that's the thing. They talked about her going up and fighting Nunes again at 135. I've heard a rumor that when the UFC comes back, though, as it's coming back now, they're going to say we're back, but we're not back. It's a little different. And I've heard the rumor that they're going to get rid of that women's 135-pound championship. I don't know what, if anything, it would be replaced with, but that makes sense. You don't have, to do the rankings at 135, you don't have 20 135-pound women. I don't even know if you have, or 145-pound, excuse me. I said 135, 145-pound belt. I don't think you have 10 145-pounders right now. Conor won't be able to handle late rounds with Tony. Conor will cause Tony a slow fighter, but over time, Tony will pick Conor apart. My point. So I would say in the first 3 rounds, I would give the advantage to Conor, and then you make it past the middle of the second through third round, somewhere in there. Tony definitely takes over. Very superior cardio, a superior overall martial artist. I think Conor is a superior striker, though, as far as countering and precision. Ngannou versus Rosenstruck, interim heavyweight championship, is UFC 249 co-main event. UFC is coming back. Yes, it is coming back April 18th, and the main event is Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for the lightweight interim championship. But don't think Tony would make it out of one. Definitely not 2 rounds. Conor, especially with Tony's fighting style. Yeah, I think Conor kind of gives both of those guys some headaches on their feet. Might be the one fight that Justin Gaethje decides to use his wrestling. Tony Ferguson is definitely going to touch Conor if they fight. He will get his licks in. I think he would definitely get his licks in, but he's got to... I think he would have to get Conor to late rounds and drown him in deep water. But I said definitely the winner out of this, I believe, is Conor McGregor. Because now maybe he doesn't have to fight either one of those guys. The Francis fight is not confirmed last time I seen. I think Dana White will have another announcement tonight, probably on SportsCenter. And that's just speculation by me. But that seems the smartest thing to do. Is for him to come on SportsCenter tonight. I said, I'm pretty sure I know the location. It looks like it's about 99%. It's going to be the Apex Training Institute in Nevada. Dana White meeting with the Las Vegas Athletic Commission today. And then Ariel Helwani coming in and saying that it will be somewhere on the East Coast. But to start selling these pay-per-views, they have to confirm a location. And I really feel like Dana he's got to confirm it today or tomorrow. They're already so far behind the 8 ball on this. We're 12 days away. And they're looking at selling this on pay-per-view. Conor can take Tony's punches. Tony can't take too many of Conor's. Can't go blow for blow with Conor. I agree. I think Justin would beat Conor, especially this new Justin. Now the Justin of old used to brawl. Conor would destroy. Wouldn't destroy. Yeah, Gaethje is definitely a new animal. He's definitely he definitely got a lot better after a couple of setbacks when he first came into the UFC. And that's what champions do. guys that are eventual champions, they come in, they make mistakes, and they address them right away. They don't say, oh, it wasn't my night, and then that's fine. Say it wasn't your night, but don't go back to keep doing the same things. And Justin Gaethje went out there and he says, hey, there's some things, some opportunities I think I see here, some deficits in my game that I can work on. And that's what he went and did. That's a championship mentality. Pettis dropped Tony in a sloppy brawl. Imagine what a precise strike with KO power like Conor would do. Justin is my dark horse. I think Justin is more of a problem for Khabib than Tony. He could be. I think Tony's more of a problem for Khabib because he's so good off of his back. I guess we're going to have to see how good Gaethje's takedown defense really is when he gets in there against Khabib. Pulse Reloaded! Long time no see. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Dustin beat Justin, though it's not sold on him yet. Well, that, like we talked about, that was before Justin retooled and went on this tear that he's been on as of late. Anybody that's just joining us right now, Dana White came on and said UFC 249. He came out on Twitter today, is on 100%. And the main event will be Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for the lightweight interim championship. Khabib will not make the trip. Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas is still scheduled for the co-main, but Tyron Woodley has volunteered his services. I believe most likely he will be fighting Colby Covington. And then rumors swirling out there that Francis Ngannou and Jairzinho Rozenstruik could also be bumped to this card. Y'all not giving Tony no chance on the feet with Conor. I think Tony can make it very competitive. He stays standing, and like I said, Tony, he has a good jab. I can see him jabbing up Conor, making him. He could. What's Justin's streak? 3 or 4? It's not a long streak. I can tell you real quick here. I mean, he's got a crazy impressive record. Though does Gaethje. 21-2 in his entire career. His only 2 losses there in the UFC. Yeah, 3 fight win streak. James Vick, Edson Barbosa, and Donald Cerrone, but all in the first round. James Vick was 1:27, 2.5 minute knockout against Edson Barbosa. And then 4 minutes and 18 seconds on Cerrone. That's my fight. Who took down Justin and kept them down? Justin's wrestling is second to none. Most people don't just know Justin is a really good wrestler. I know he was a really good wrestler, J.J. Smith. I take it with a grain of salt, though, because I have not seen him use it in quite some time like he did in World Series of Fighting. And you talk to guys like Josh Koscheck in his early 30s, said his wrestling started going, even though he'd been a champion. He says, I can't get those deep takedowns anymore. Rashad Evans mentioned some of the same things. Ben Askren, recently, of course, he retired recently, but we cannot assume that his shot is the same that it's always been when you haven't seen him use it for a while. But I do think his defense is going to be much better than Conor's was. So it'll be interesting. Tony's length will be a problem for Justin. Yeah, I haven't checked out what the reach differential is yet. Now, the odds did come out. Tony Ferguson is a plus 170 favorite. Last time I seen, we'll see if they've changed it all. That was before they actually officially announced the fight. Although I have a feeling that Dana kind of had to give Vegas a little heads up about what fight was going to be so they could make odds. And then he's hoping to get a favor back and being able to do those fights in the Apex Center. Also, I beat a battered Cowboy. No offense to Tony. Or to Cowboy, yeah. Who do you want to win the Khabib versus Ferguson fight? That's tough, man. I like both of those guys so much. Both of them, there's no doubt they're the number 2 lightweights. I think they're the 2 best lightweights ever. And I'll even throw, BJ Penn and Matt Hughes. Although Matt Hughes, I think, fought mostly at welterweight. But I would throw BJ Penn, all the guys from the past in there. I think Khabib and Tony are the best 2 to ever do it at that weight. And it's all on who implements their game plan. That one's, it's like a coin toss. I could see Khabib holding Tony down, but he's got to hold him down for 5 rounds. Tony, he doesn't have to be perfect. He just has to land the shots. He could cut Khabib open with those elbows on the ground. My opinion, Justin did not deserve this fight. I'm not sure he would have gotten it otherwise, but in the lightweight division, who else would you put in there right now, though? That's my issue, is who else do you put in there right now? Edson Barboza lost again. He's going down to 145. The usual suspects. Kevin Lee just lost again. A lot of guys coming off losses right now or not in the game. Conor McGregor, I wouldn't give it to him. When was the last time he won, 1 fight now? Then a 1-fight win streak. And then just looking through that top 10, I'm not sure who else you would give it to. Ferguson ever fought McGregor? Do you think he'd win, and how? We've been talking about that for a while. I would lean towards Conor to take out Tony in the early rounds. If Tony makes it through if he makes it to round 3, then I would lean towards Tony. But I think Conor's accuracy and counterpunching would give him some problems. I think it's a bad matchup for him. Tony really needs money right now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think he needs some money anyways. Where does this put Conor now? This is for the interim belt. So winner will face Khabib in August. Does he fight for the 170 belt or continue fighting gatekeepers at 155? Here's what I think happens with Conor. His 2 toughest opponents are out of the way now. Outside of Khabib, make an argument for anybody else that Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson aren't the 2 biggest threats to him. Then I think he probably makes Diaz McGregor 3. I think they do that. I think if I'm the UFC, I would try to put that on the same card as Khabib versus Tony. Or Gaethje versus Khabib, if that's going to be the thing. I don't think that fight sells as well. But, I think that would be a great co-main event. I don't know that Conor's going to be a co-main event, though. I believe he said that he wouldn't. Tony should have waited for Khabib. 100% agree. It's a great fight, too. Tony versus Conor. The media would be great. Oh, the smack talk between those 2 would be amazing. What's going to happen to Tony if he lost the fight? Maybe it's better option to him to waiting for Khabib. I think so. Ariel Helwani had a take on this that kind of bothered me. Probably fight just. It really bothered me. He said he thinks Ferguson needs to fight. Who knows how long it's going to be before he can take another payday. And the show just before that, he kept on bringing up how much bigger of a fight Conor versus Khabib 2 money-wise would be than Khabib versus Tony. I mean, he really didn't make much qualms about it. He really, came out and said he'd rather see Conor fight Khabib, which honestly just really pissed me off. Probably fight Justin because Khabib is going to fight McGregor. I know Khabib has said he doesn't want to. Khabib usually seems to be, a man of his word, but he also says, I'm the lightweight champion, and you kind of have to defend your belt against the guys the boss tells you to. Even my uncle said that Conor McGregor would destroy Tony Ferguson. I don't know who your uncle is, so I don't know what... I don't know how much weight that holds, Torin, but smart man. But yeah, I would like to see that fight. I'm changing gears though now. I'm ready to look forward to Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson now. I said Ferguson coming in a minus 170 favorite. We'll see what the odds end up doing as far as that. I think Gaethje poses a lot of problems for Tony Ferguson, and he poses some different problems than Khabib, who he's been training for. Of course, Gaethje has not been training for anyone. Never sleep on El Kukui. Gaethje's a big guy. Here's part of it. Justin Gaethje, you look at him, and he looks like he should be a welterweight. I mean, he's not a small guy. He's very muscular. Really muscular build. Don't remember how tall he is. I think he's shorter than Tony. But I wonder how hard the weight cut's going to be for him. I know he's had really more than 12 days notice, even if they didn't make it official. I think they told him probably at least, close to a week ago. And he's known that it could possibly be him for several weeks because we've known. So I'm sure he's been training. I think Conor beats Tony, Justin, and Brock Lesnar. Oh, jeez. Now you're just goating people. How about a prime RDA? Got beat up by Tony. This is true. Hey, Tony Ferguson's, he's an animal, man. He's an animal. And as much as I'm upset about Khabib versus Tony not happening, I've kind of came to terms with that for a while now. It looked like it wasn't going to happen, and this is a great matchup. Where will UFC 249 be? Well, Alexander, that's part of the problem. Dana White said somewhere on Earth, but he says it's 100% happening. Now, I know that Dana White, he didn't mention this on ESPN, and he may on SportsCenter tonight, but I know he is having meetings today with the Las Vegas Athletic Commission. If anybody can push the Las Vegas Athletic Commission to do something, it's Dana White. I mean, he owns that town. That's between him and the Fertittas. I mean, that's their town. The UFC brings so much money into that town. They're bigger than boxing now. They're bigger than, definitely as far as per event. They bring the stars. They bring so much to the table in Vegas. I think it's going to happen at the Apex Training Center if I had to put money on it. Ariel Helwani came out and said that they were looking at somewhere on the West Coast, that it would be somewhere on the West Coast, but they haven't, made it public. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be Las Vegas. What about Colby versus Woodley? Is that happening? I would say 99%. Tyron Woodley, you'd have to be crazy as the boss to have Tyron Woodley volunteer himself for an event like this and not take him up on it. They've talked to Colby. I don't know if he's signed the contract, but it sounds like he's game. It could be signed, as far as I know, but I would bet that that's most likely going to be in there. And then a lot of rumors swirling around now. Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Francis Ngannou being moved possibly to that card. Sounds like Florida. 3 locations that have been mentioned there. Well, Florida might have screwed up with all those college kids that were screwing around on the beach during spring break, during this whole epidemic. That really made them look bad, and they have had MMA there recently, though. So I don't know why that wasn't their number 1 choice out of the gate, but I just really think it really looks like the Apex Center. Don't forget, Tony loves the pain. Took RDA's hardest kicks and punches. I think Gaethje's a different kind of animal, though. When you seen him just destroy Edson Barbosa's legs, I mean, that was not a long fight either. Edson Barbosa has some of the most insane leg kicks in the history of the UFC, and Gaethje just like, oh, you want a leg kick? And I mean, it was like his leg kicks were twice as powerful. I mean, I was truly impressed with the way he destroyed Barbosa. I mean, I know people have beaten Barbosa, including Khabib. Nobody's ever beat him like that, dismantled him at his own game. Because that's the game everybody's trying to avoid. Heard it's going to be on the West Coast, and that's where the next few events will be held. That's what Ariel Helwani said on Twitter today, and I believe that is the case. Yeah, I heard that the card scheduled for May 27th will probably be at the same place and UFC 250, and I really think it's going to be the Apex Center. Dana White's been living in Vegas since 99. That's 21 years. That's a long time. Yeah, he's brought a lot of money into that city for sure. What about Leon Edwards? Who does he fight? Good question. I mean, you got welterweight Masvidal is most likely going to fight for the title against Usman. Edwards, he's got it. He's got to have a top opponent. I'm not sure if Woodley's not in there. It depends on if Covington comes in. If Woodley fights somebody other than Covington, I would say Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. Other than that, maybe he waits for a title shot. I don't know. I don't think Masvidal destroys Usman anymore. I think his conditioning isn't all that good. He looked gassed going into the 4th with Diaz. Not sure how gassed he looked. Usman, it's hard to count Usman on either. That guy is a machine. I'm not the biggest fan of his fighting style just because he's not always the most entertaining. But it is very hard to do what he does. I think Lyman Good can beat Conor McGregor. I think he will KO him. Wow. Oh, that's one that's off this card for sure. For those that were looking at the original card that was scheduled for New York, Lyman Good is off the card. And I don't know if they're going to scrap that fight or if they're replacing him with somebody else or what the deal is on that. This seems like a good time to have streams, though. At least with everybody being home now, I'm getting more people at this time than the evening streams. Card going. It is not, unfortunately, Steven. Dana's announcing it'll be on ESPN pay-per-view. And I think they do kind of need to get I haven't seen enough from Lyman Good to say that. I'd like to see him fight a couple more top-notch guys. Against Edwards and Ponzinibbio? You talking about Ponzinibbio? That's a good fight. Ponzinibbio looked very good in his last fight. I don't know why he hasn't fought in so long. I think we went over this on one stream, and then I never bothered to look into it. But it's going to be a great card anyways. I'm glad we're finally going to get back to having live MMA and a great card. Might be an interim belt, but someone's going to get that belt design that Connor craves. What's your favorite belt, old or new? I like the old one, and maybe it's just a nostalgia thing, but I really like the look of the old one. I don't dislike the new one, but the old one to me looked more hefty. It looked like it had better material in it, like the gold and silver and everything that was in it. I think it was just had better metals and things in it. Dana will make one of the best fight cards. I think they're going to blow the doors off with this one. I really do. I think it's likely that they get Francis Ngannou in that card. I think it's likely that, we have Woodley versus Colby Covington. And then with Andrade versus Namajunas too. If that goes through, you should have a stellar card. With everything that's happened right now, I don't see them allowing anything that's not a GameStop or anything that's not, ESPN Plus main event worthy on that pay-per-view main card. And probably a pretty good prelim card too. That's all good. I'm in for pay-per-view. We haven't had a fight in a while. We haven't had much sports. It's definitely going to be good for the UFC because I don't know if you guys have noticed, ESPN has really been struggling to get content out there. They've been showing a lot of old UFC fights on ESPN all the time. They even showed WrestleMania. They showed WrestleMania 35 before 36, and they were interviewing Becky Lynch of the WWE. So that tells you how desperate they are for ratings right now. So I think they're just going to be all in on this. It's pretty much all they have to talk about. Usman versus Woodley 2 is worst case scenario for the fans. If he beats Colby and Usman beats Jorge. I would hope that Jorge would beat Usman, and then we would see Woodley versus that Masvidal would beat Usman, and we'd see Masvidal versus Woodley. Just for whatever reason, Usman is just not. He's not a good matchup for Woodley. Never seen him struggle with anybody's wrestling, and Usman. I think I've said this before. Not only did he win every round, he won every minute. He won almost every exchange. Tyron Woodley did just next to nothing in that fight. Cash cow. I don't understand why Dana wants Conor to be a champ. Yep, so bad. All he's got to do is just hold up another division. Yep, he's the cash cow. There's your answer. For watching the UFC with a crowd, it gets me more excited. I thought I really did too. And then, what I thought was really going to be bad without a crowd was WWE. I thought this is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And you could hear all the shots. You could hear when they ran into each other, when they threw each other against the barricades. You could hear them talking smack to each other. Very, very clearly. I don't know if it was better, but it was better for me at the time because it was different. So there's going to be things that are different that I think that we'll enjoy. I think we're going to miss the sound of the crowd, but I think we're going to get some things to replace that. Like hearing the sound of the shots better, hearing the refs speak more clearly, hearing the fighters speak to each other. And I think Tony's going to be talking some smack to Justin. For sure. Didn't mind it. No crowd in the corner. Yeah, I liked UFC Brazil. It was a bit strange because it's the first time I'd seen it. But and you can hear the cornerman very clearly. That's a good point, Junk. Almost all eyes of the world to watch UFC. Good job, Dana. Yeah, I mean, eventually, I don't want to see more people get sick and die. We don't know what's going on with this thing. And I'm really probably one of the last people that should even speak on it. But I do hope that we, get back to business soon. I hope maybe beginning of May. Maybe beginning of May. I said that this morning, and young David told me I was just that I was just restless. But I really think that the world could hopefully, or the country could go back to normal or close to normal by May and start opening some things back up. Start having some more events with full crowds. Who still watches WWE that hasn't been good since Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker left? Well, Undertaker was on there. Undertaker was in the main event the first night, and then Brock was in the main event the second night. So they had quite a few stars out there. And they had Bill Goldberg back, which I had no idea. I figured he was like 60. But I guess he's like 51. He's still wrestling. I also thought The Undertaker was like 60. It seems like he's been wrestling forever. Seems like he was wrestling when the Ultimate Warrior was wrestling. I must be mistaken that, but I know he wrestled with Hogan for a long time. What's up, Alexandra? Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, man. How are you? You're just not good to me anymore. I've watched 3 WWE events in the last 3 years, Torrin, and they were all WrestleManias. So I don't know what they're doing the rest of the year. But I streamed those because it's the most popular thing, and I thought they weren't too bad. But I'm certainly not a regular watcher. I watched, of course I was much younger, but I remember back in the day with WCW, and you would have Sting, and you'd have the Legion of Doom. I think they were maybe the Road Warriors at that time, and Ric Flair over there. You had a lot of talent over there. You had Hollywood Hogan. A little later even than that, but Sting was the big deal way back. And then, was it Flying Brian Pillman? I think he was a WCW guy. So, quite a ways back. What do you guys think, though? I will put a poll up, though. I am curious who you guys think will win. Gaethje versus Ferguson. What other fights do you want to see on the card? Andrade versus Namajunas 2 is supposed to be the co-main event. Like I said, I would be very surprised. Very, very surprised if we don't see Tyron Woodley on there. He's in shape. He's on weight. We're only 12 days away. They got to get fighters. I mean, everybody that was already scheduled for this, though, they were still contracted. I mean, Dana told them the whole time. He's never said this was off. He said no matter what, UFC 249 would go on, that it would happen, and he kept his word. So hopefully the original people that were scheduled have stayed on weight if they're in the country. And that's another concern for some of these fighters. I don't know how many fighters were from out of the country or had traveled before this happened. I don't know if anybody's stuck anywhere. I believe champion Wiley Zing is in the States. I don't think she ever went back. She came over for the Joanna fight. And then I'm pretty sure she didn't go back because she came over early because she was scared she was going to get stuck over there in China. Remember, they were quarantined for 4 months. Over there, and a different kind of quarantine than what we see here. They had drones flying around telling people to go back to their houses, or telling them, to go back in if they didn't have a face mask on, and that sort of thing. So, all right, guys, I had some work today. I got to work tomorrow, so I think I'm going to take a little nap, do a little bit downstairs. But sometime this week, I'm going to get some live MMA on. I've been talking about putting the Wtih on. We'll put that on. I have some other live MMA I found that is not owned by the UFC or copyrighted by anyone at the moment. So I just hope you guys all take care of yourself. If you're working, be safe. If you're not or you're unemployed, I hope the best for you, that you're doing well. Tony going to beat Gaethje too easy, says Alexandra. We will see. I think it's going to be a great competitive fight. But guys, just be safe, take care, use your best judgment. I'm wearing a mask now when I go out. So I'm out in public working. People are just coming too close to me. Like I said, I may have had the virus already, but I don't know. Never tested positive for it. We don't know 100% if we can get it again. And we are in flu season anyway, so it's not a bad idea to be careful out there right now. I'd hate to see anybody get really sick. All right, have a good one, PBR. Thanks again for the donation, sir. Really hope Khabib doesn't run through Ferguson like everyone who fought before him. See you soon. Stay safe. You too. Yeah, it is allergy season too. You're right, Junk. All right, guys. Till this thing's over, as always, I love you. I respect you. And guys, stay safe, stay home, and stay clean.